All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Geek Garage podcast. I'm your host, David Dassaw, and joined with me is not Ted White. He is taking the week off this week. However, in his stead is one of my good friends, a longtime listener of the podcast, and recurring guest, Tiffany Elder. How you doing?
Hi.
Hey.
Surviving the snowpocalypse.
Right. It's like a shut in within a shut in.
Yeah,
It's like shut in inception.
I'm
Like,
over it.
yeah, we
I've
all
had
are.
enough
Like,
downtime this past year.
yeah, like fuck all of it. Just all this. I wave in the general direction of the universe.
But
It's just like
it has given me a lot of time to do the thing that we're about to talk about today.
exactly. Yeah, we've been going back and forth a lot the last week or so. Gathering our notes for this episode, and that's one of the things that came up a couple times. Was like, hey, silver lining from being snowed in and the quarantine, etc., is that you have a lot of time to play Animal Crossing: New Horizons, and
Yay.
that's what we're here to talk about today. Um, but before we get into all that, just want to give a quick shout out to everyone that has subscribed to the podcast, all you current listeners, and all new listeners and subscribers. We've noticed that we kind of said this during the last couple episodes of the podcast, but we've noticed for some reason or another, our numbers, download numbers, are doing exceptionally well, like much better than we actively deserve. um so they are they're going up, which means that new people are subscribing and tuning in and listening, and that's fantastic. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our show, and welcome. We hope that we don't disappoint. We probably will. But
I'll try
yeah.
not to.
Oh, no. If anything, you will greatly and vastly improve the quality of this program. Good miss. Uh, whereas me, I am just some Joe Schmo.
Just some guy.
Right. I'm just a man on a train with no answers. Yeah, that's a deep cut Michael Scott reference for you. 3 gold stars if you get it. Anyways, so yeah, that's it for our intro, folks. We're gonna cue the music at the sound of the tiny truck backing up. Beep. All right, so Tiffany, you are you ready to talk about some ACNH?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it. These shoes cost $5,000. Let's get them. Oldie but a goodie. Oh, I see what you did there. 5,000. That's actually not too bad. I'm actually kind of surprised by the low prices by some of the stuff. Although there are some high price, like apples are like 400. I'm like, fuck that. Like, I'll just go shake a tree.
Non-native fruit is worth even more.
Yeah, exactly. So like we said at the top, we're here to talk about Animal Crossing. This game is coming up on its 1-year anniversary, right? Like, didn't it
Yep.
come out in March or April of March?
Yeah, it was in March. So it was like right at quarantine time.
Right. Yeah, it came out at like the perfect time. Like, especially for everyone that already had a Switch. If you were trying to get a Switch because this game came out, it was a terrible time.
Yeah.
And just a terrible time for people, I mean, in general, like for obvious reasons, but even if you wanted to get a Switch, and not because of Animal Crossing, like it was terribly difficult to find one.
Yeah.
still kind of is. Like, I went to Target, and it said on the website that it had some in stock, and I was like, yay, I have the money to spend, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get the game, and it's gonna be awesome. And I got there, and all they had were lights, and I was like, well,
Aw.
isn't this just fucking great? uh and but like, it was one of those situations where the stars aligned, and I knew that 2 days later I was not going to have the money anymore. Because it's me, and I was going to find something else to spend it on. So,
You gotta get
um,
something.
right. But hey, let me make this episode all about me. Okay. Let me talk about all me and all of my past experiences. Um, so you have basically been playing it from the beginning, right? Or pretty
So
close?
I didn't play it until it was August because I
Okay.
wanted to get Mac. I wanted to get my husband a Switch for his birthday,
Mac,
which
who's also been on the podcast.
did not happen because I could not find one. I looked everywhere. I could not get one.
Hmm.
So finally, like it was like about, probably a week after his birthday, I finally had tracked one down and I got it for him. And I got him Animal Crossing, and then that first day we both played it a little bit, and I was like,
Hmm.
this is not gonna work. I'm gonna need my own Switch. So I bought a Switch Lite for myself because I don't really have any desire to play it on the TV. And it's
Hmm.
better for my weak little baby wrist that I hurt by sewing 5 million masks all year.
Yeah, you produced a metric shit ton of masks,
Yes.
by the way. I mean, this is
Like
a bit
over
of a sidebar.
3,000.
Yeah, like the amount that you told me that you
Yeah.
so
So
and yeah, and then
I gave myself carpal
subsequently
tunnel.
sold. Yeah, like, that's insane. But I mean, congratulations for
Yeah.
that successful side hustle, though. Yeah.
But yeah, that helped me buy 2 Switches in 1 week and 2 copies of Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
and yeah, then I've since put in like something like 450 hours. And Mac
so.
has not put in nearly that much.
Yeah, I can imagine. Mac, he's a pretty busy guy.
He's moved
Uh,
on to some other games that are more
sure.
engaging, but so yeah, I've been playing since like August.
Yeah. I have been playing since, like, what was it? Like a month ago, maybe?
Yeah,
If
that sounds
that.
right.
Like, yeah, I got it, and I am definitely not the person in the household that has logged the most hours
Yeah.
on this Switch. I work all day, so when I work and when my wife Lindsay is not doing her schoolwork, she's usually on my Switch, and she's doing her thing. She set up camp on my island, which is cool. And then a lot of the times, like, she'll finally pass it to me after I get off work, and then Charlie, my son, he's like, ooh, video game, and like grabs it, and he's like, Mario time, and I'm like, god damn it.
You're never
It's
gonna
just,
get your bells together.
no, I'm not. Which is uh a good opportunity for me to say thank you for, like, gifting me so many pills.
I know you
the
said you didn't want them, but you sure took them when I threw them on the ground.
Yeah, I was like, I feel bad because all those times, like, playing The Sims, where I was like, mother load, mother load, mother load, mother load, and getting all that money. But I kind of wanted to be a self-made man,
I get it. I
uh
get it.
but then I realized how difficult it is on a limited time schedule
Yes.
to pay back your home loans
The
to
capitalist
good old
raccoon.
to good old Tommy boy over there. um
Tom Nook is a bastard.
I I think it'd be hilarious if, like, you booted up the game and you came out of your house and he was, like, standing there with a baseball bat, just psh, psh,
It's been a while
pull.
since you've made a loan payment.
Right, be like, I'm gonna have to take your knees. um, no, that doesn't actually happen. But it'd be funny if it did. So what what would you say some of your favorite things about the game are, that you've come across in your playtime?
Honestly, like it's very addicting to me, and I really just love like all of like the user generated content. Like I will sit there and I'll go on Pinterest and I'll search like all these different codes and stuff that people
Mhm.
put together, and you can like wear clothes that people design and like decorate your island with stuff people design, and it's just so crazy like the endless creativity that people have. And I love to like look at that kind of stuff and try to like get inspired to like create my own stuff or put together stuff that like other people could look at and be inspired by. Maybe it's just
Right.
people just endless creativity, and just like people are so generous too in like the Animal Crossing community.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was very delighted to hear about when you told me offline. Like, uh, I mean, it's very fitting to the game. I mean, like the game is it's just like a game full of side quests.
Yeah.
But all of the side quests are kind of adorable.
And you can't really
And
do anything wrong.
right, yeah, there's really no like failure.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't. It's really kind of difficult to explain like the premise or
Right.
just like you just need to hand it to someone and have them play for a little
Yeah.
while, but not just like a little bit, like
Right.
for a solid couple of days.
Yeah.
Because and this is something that we definitely have in our notes that we can cover now, is like it takes a hot minute to get rolling in the game,
Yeah.
right?
It does. And
Yeah.
I think people forget that once they've been playing it for a long time. They forget like how kind of tedious it is at the beginning, where you're sort of just
Mhm.
gathering materials and like trying to get things started. But like once
Right.
it's all set in place, you're kind of just like rolling and good to go.
Yeah. Uh, I definitely made use of that, like, what should I do
Yes.
question from Tom Nook. I was like, what should I do? And so like the first 5,000 times that I asked him, he gave me the same answer, like the island is bountiful of native fruits, so collect fruits and out and fish. And I was like, really, again? Like I
Right.
and so like I tried to go fishing, and Lindsay was like watching me over my shoulder, and I could not catch fish. Like one of the easiest things in the game, and like I could not catch fish for the like I caught maybe one out of every like 5 or 6
Oh my
fish that
gosh.
I would try to get. And she's like, you know, if you wait until you see like the bobber thing go underwater, that's when you hit like the A button to
So
pull it out.
I play in a way that a lot of other people play, where
Okay.
we close our eyes and we hold the switch up to our ear and we listen, and when you hear the splash, that's when you hit A.
Okay, yeah.
Because
So
there's like it nibbles and then it chomps, and when you hear the
r-
chomp, and I catch
yeah.
them every time.
Yeah, I'm assuming that that sound kind of coincides with the bobber like going
Yeah.
down. And people that are fishing, people that might be listening, I don't know if we have any listeners that are also fishermen, people that fish,
Fisherman. Fishers.
hobbyist fishers. That none of that is the right nomenclature, but so I apologize in advance. But yeah, Lindsay was like, "Do you know how to fucking fish?" And I was like, "No,
No.
like I fished when I was like 10 once with like a
Oh my
Ninja
god.
Turtles fucking
I
fishing
mean, I
pole."
don't know how to fish either, but
Yeah, like, but
yeah.
yeah. Anyways, so one of the things that people talk about with Animal Crossing, especially when it first came out, and this kind of ties into like it coming out at the right time. Like a lot of people talked about how like calming and therapeutic it was.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's an accurate assessment?
I
And
think so. Like especially like there are things that I, especially at the beginning, I called my dailies, where I would do my dailies, where it's like,
sure,
okay, I'm gonna go around now and I'm gonna talk to each one of my villagers, and I'm gonna hit all my rocks, and I'm gonna shake all my trees, and I'm gonna, like pick up all the shells. Like, I don't know, it's just nice to have like a routine. And I would even get up. I would wake up early before work so that I
Mm,
could get up and do all my little dailies because I knew that I might not be I might not want to play when I got home from work, or it might be late or whatever, you know.
right. Yeah, I mean, it does kind of seem like a really fun thing to do, or like a therapeutic thing
Yeah.
as well, to make it one of the first things you do in the morning. Like a one of my good friends, he was on the podcast about a year ago. He told me this little trick to kind of help your mental health is the first thing you do in the morning before you start any sort of like obligation type stuff is to do one thing that you love. Uh, uh, no matter how long it takes you, like it could just be something you can knock out in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
um, and so I've been trying to do that, and ever since I got my Switch, I try and play a little bit of Animal Crossing in
Yeah.
the morning before work, like when my computer's booting up and stuff. So yeah, and I don't really have necessarily have like my dailies or rituals like that, except for hitting up the ATM to
Yeah.
make sure that
Get
I
those
get
Nook
my
miles.
miles. Yeah. Uh, so um but yeah, let's dive into some of your notes that you took, because you have an abundance compared to what I have. Um,
A
so
pretty intense player.
and that's exactly why I wanted you on, is because you've been playing for a while, you've been around the block, as they say. So yeah, it just made sense to have you on. So you talked about um, Animal Crossing kind of being a game for everyone. Um,
Like, it's just got there's just so many different things that you can do. And like I said, you can't really do anything wrong. And you can kind of choose what you want to do. Like, some people are like obsessed with like breeding the rare flowers, or catching all of the fish or all of the bugs, or filling their whole museum with all of the creatures. Some people want to decorate their islands. That's kind of my thing. I'm like
mhm.
super into like terraforming and just like building up my island and making it look super cool.
Yeah, your island is
um
legit. Like when I went to go visit it, you were like, "Hey, I just laid out a bunch of shit right in front of my house for you to come pick up." And I was like picking up all this stuff that I was like, I haven't seen any of this before. And then I was just looking around like, wow,
And
it's
that's how I felt the first time I went to somebody's island. I was like, I don't even know if I'm playing the same freaking game. Like, this is
right.
insane. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, because at that point, the
you were in a
only
tent.
people, yes, I think I was still in a tent, or
Yeah.
just a one room house,
Yeah.
and it was just me and Lindsay, and then our two island mates, neighbors, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Your
We
villagers.
yes, villagers. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. And so we're still pretty, entry level into the
Yeah.
game. I think we still are, but yeah, it was kind of crazy to see all the stuff that you got.
And it is cool to like be able to go over to other people's islands and stuff. And like we were saying before, even like with the pandemic and stuff, like we're not traveling like we were, and like there's people I don't get to see anymore, but I get to hang out with my sister-in-law and my niece who live in New York. I get to go to their islands and hang out with them. And like
Right.
last night I went to my friend in California's island, and she had a meteor shower, so we wished on stars and danced in the plaza, and it was super fun. So, it's just like a cool way to like be able to be social in a time when it's like hard to be social.
Right, exactly. This is something I just thought of, that we don't have in our notes, but um, so how the things that happen universally throughout Animal Crossing versus the things that happen for only you, like that meteor shower
Yeah.
thing. Like, what dictates that?
It's
Like,
kind of random. But like Isabel in the morning, she'll be like, "Oh, we're gonna have a meteor shower tonight. Like, look out for shooting stars."
Mm, okay.
So you know that morning that there's gonna be a meteor shower that night if you want to invite people over. So when you see the stars, you look up and you see them and you press A, or yeah, A,
Hmm.
and you make a wish. And then the next morning, it doesn't matter if it's on your island or somebody else's island. The next morning, you go look at your beach and there's star fragments, which I think I
Okay.
gave you some of those.
Right.
And usually Celeste visits your island during a meteor shower. We looked everywhere for that fucking space chicken last night. She's an owl, but everybody calls her the space chicken. We looked
Space
everywhere for
chicken.
her and we could not find her anywhere. She's very rude. She gives you like the space DIYs, but she always gives me like the dumbest ones. I like literally like spent real dollars money on getting the ones that I wanted because she never gives me the good ones. She hates me. But in theory,
Yeah.
when you have a meteor shower, she's supposed to be on your island somewhere.
Yeah. When you told me about how you can spend real money on the game, I was like, God damn it. Not for me, because I'm not that kind of person
Yeah.
at all. However, my wife, God bless her, as we say in the South, she, so when Farmville was a thing,
I never did play that.
yeah, I didn't either. But she was a huge Farmville fan. And I would check our checking account online and see charges for Facebook. And I'm like, like I'd show it to her. I'd be like, "Do you know what this is by chance?" And she gives me like this look, like maybe. And I'm like, "Lindsay, what are these charges?" And she's like, "It's for Farmville. Like, I can pay money and like my crops will grow faster and I can like do more stuff. And like it just speeds up the process." And I'm like, "Lindsay, Facebook is free." What the hell is going on? And without skipping a beat, last night she sends me a message like, "Look, you can buy like 7 or like a million bells with 7 human dollars." And I was like, it was like Theoden from Lord of the Rings. It has begun.
Oh man.
I can't remember if that's his name,
Yeah, there's
but
and like I feel kind of goofy doing it, but I'm also like, whatever, I'm an adult. Like I'm almost 40 years old. Like I could spend my money on whatever I want, like that's what I
right.
tell myself. But I'm just really impatient and sometimes I really want something. And like
Hmm.
I even know like if I go, I'm in like so many Facebook groups and stuff, and like everybody's so generous and they're so nice and they'll give you whatever you want. Most of the time they don't even want anything for it. But like I'm just so impatient sometimes when I'm trying to put something together. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go on the website and I'm just gonna see. I like this website. It's like ACNHstudio.com. You
Hmm.
can buy pretty much any item for like $1. And so like if you get one, then it's in your catalog and then you can order more from the whatever it's called, the ATM thing on the island.
Hmm.
But yeah, so like I've bought a few pieces of furniture. I've bought some DIYs that Celeste will just not break off for me because she only wants to give me wand recipes, and I don't even use wands. I think they're stupid. But
Got a wand hater in the house.
uh.
Get her. Wands, they're stupid. And so is your face. That's okay. I'm not much of a wand person either.
But yeah, there's a whole economy of things that happen in the game and out of the game.
Right.
Um,
So those places that you can go to like buy stuff, are those affiliated with Nintendo at all, or are they like
no,
third-party sites?
they're like third-party sites. There's also a thing called Treasure Islands, and I've not been to one, but you pay like a certain amount of money and you go to the island and it's just covered in stuff and you get like a certain amount of time on the island and you can just take whatever you want.
It's like that old show, like that
Like
grocery store
supermarket
show.
sweep.
Yes, that
Yes.
and like the
Yes.
kid version on Nickelodeon, where like you got like 20 minutes
Oh
inside
my
Toys R
gosh.
Us
yes,
with
I
like
forgot
one or
about that. What was
yeah,
that called? Oh, it was my dream to be on that when I was a kid.
It was every kid's dream.
Oh, what
Like,
was that?
I
I would
I
like
totally
daydream
forget.
about it when I was at Toys R Us. I'd be like, oh, if I was on that show, I could just have all of this.
Right.
Could all be mine.
The
I
issue
don't know.
is like everything that you want is in a huge box. So
True.
exactly how much, but like, okay, now we're getting too deep into
Yeah.
the
All
weeds,
right.
but we're here now, so we're going down the rabbit hole. Like now, I'm trying to remember if it was just limited by the time, or if it was limited
I don't know.
by like time, and you only got one basket
I'm
or
gonna have to
buggy,
like
as they say in the South. But I refuse to say the word buggy when
Super Toy Run.
Super Toy Run. Okay.
That doesn't sound familiar, but I guess that must be what it was.
Uh,
Um,
y-
yeah.
yeah, I
All right.
cool. Good to know.
Good to know. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
watching that on YouTube later tonight.
I'm sure it's
Oh my
there.
gosh.
Anyways, so yeah, there's all kinds of communities and Facebook groups and stuff that you can join to talk to other people about Animal Crossing and trade stuff, because
Yeah.
chances are that there's someone, like, if you need a lot of something or just something in general that's hard to come by, from what you've told me, and what I gather, there's a good chance that there's someone out there who is like the exact opposite,
Totally.
who
And I hoard
needs.
everything too. Like every item that I get, I just throw it in storage. And if somebody says they need it, I'm totally happy to give it to them if it's not something that I need. Or,
Okay.
people are just, they don't, a lot of times, even if they don't have, if you don't have something that they want to trade, they'll just give it to you anyway. People are just so generous.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I said, that's one of the things that made me love the game even more, is that, like, it's not like the Xbox 360 Halo community. And like the kids playing that
Yeah,
and
it's
playing
definitely the opposite
Call
of
of
that.
Duty, where it's like, just the most horrendous shit you'd ever hear coming out of a
It's
13-year-old's mouth.
definitely the opposite of that.
Right, yeah. Um you just mentioned something that made me think of a question I meant to ask a little earlier. Um so when it comes to, like, there's a lot of ambiguity for me, even like, m- even now, but especially at the beginning, like when you would just give me stuff,
Yeah.
or I would just come across stuff on the island, and I was like I learned pretty quickly that you can sell pretty much everything,
Yeah.
but I found it to be quite ambiguous
What you should
whether,
keep.
right, what you should keep and like hoard or just
Yeah.
hold on to in your pockets or sell.
Yeah.
And
So
do
some
you
things, I will say, like some things are renewable resources, is what I
mhm,
refer to them as. Like your fruit is always going to grow back on your trees. Your flowers are always going to grow back if you pick them. You can always get more fish from the ocean, but I always donate the first of every fish that I catch to Blathers. I feel like if you don't give the first of everything to Blathers, maybe you're not a good person. That's like a meme. That's like a meme on the internet, is like, if you don't give the first of everything to Blathers. So you're trying to build the museum.
right.
And so, like, even though, like, I caught, like, a super awesome shark and I've never caught one since, I don't regret giving that one to Blathers. I'm sure it would
Mhm,
have gotten me a lot of money, but there'll always be more ways to get money later.
right.
I
Like,
gotta
I
build
don't.
that museum, even though he
Yeah.
hates the bugs.
Does he?
uh,
uh yeah, I guess I missed that one, that little tidbit. But yeah, like when he asked, like, and he asked so politely, like just like a Ravenclaw, like he's like, would you mind donating this to the museum so we can have it in an exhibit? And I'm like, of course you can, Mr. Owl. Like, here, take my shit. Do you want more
right,
shit? Like, I
right.
got plenty of apples and tree branches. Would you like any of that? And so like it kind of makes me feel, I'm like, I'm a good person,
Right.
like, so I'll go around and tell all the
I'm a
villagers, like,
philanthropist.
I'm a
God
great
damn it.
philanderer. I just gave this fucking owl all my shit.
Yeah, so I mean, there are some things that are like renewable resources to me that you can always get more of.
Right.
And like a lot of the stuff at the beginning, you don't really have a use for it. You don't really have anywhere to put it. You could put it in storage and hang on to it, but any item that you have ever picked up, it stays in your catalog. And you can go to the ABD, that little ATM machine, or later you can do it from your Nook phone. You can order anything that you have ever picked up, even if you don't have that item anymore. So, like, if you get a chair and you really like that chair, you can go to the ABD and it'll show your catalog, and you can order 3 more of that chair to give yourself a set. So, some people have cataloging events or even cataloging islands where they drop like one of every item that they have, and you can go to their island and pick up and drop everything. And then you go back to your island and everything is in your catalog for you to order because you have possessed it at some point.
Ah, okay.
Which is really cool. So it's a way to share things without actually giving somebody the thing.
Sure.
You just give them the ability to order it. It doesn't work for some seasonal items and some special items, but for the most part, almost every other item you can catalog, which is really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. I mean, that's kind of like a neat little hack.
Yeah.
To kind of get
and I
some
didn't
stuff.
understand that at first. And I kept seeing people say in these groups, like, oh, does anybody have XYZ that I can catalog? And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And then I was asking for like something I couldn't find, and somebody said, oh, I have like the full set of that if you want to come over and catalog it. And I was like, I don't know what that means. So when I went over, it like blew my mind. They had like a whole thing set up where there's like different sections, and you like walk into the section, pick everything up, drop it, walk into the next section, pick everything up, drop it. And it took like 45 minutes, but it was like 500 items or something crazy like that. So
yeah,
I then had the ability to order any of those items, and I have like endless bells. So that didn't matter to me. Like bells are meaningless to me anymore.
Right.
But
yeah. One, this is kind of random, but sort of on topic. One thing that I really liked, like once Nook's Cranny opened up, I went in there and like they are so annoying. Like there's two of them. There's two of them, and they follow you around inside the shop. Like I'm like,
like you're about to steal everything.
Right. Have you never worked a real retail job before? Like, you don't follow people around. Like, so anytime I go to sell stuff, I always sell it via the drop box. Yeah.
They take a little cut. There's a percentage that they take, but it's worth it to not deal with them sometimes.
White people problems. Yeah. Anyway, so speaking of bells, so you have a whole section on how to make them.
Yes.
Without taking your clothes off, I think.
Well,
right?
You know, you could always sell your clothes. If you're really hard up. So like you said.
It's like the episode of Family Guy where Stewie's like on acid. He's like, does anyone want to buy thy shirt? I'm selling my shirt for a grilled cheese. Does anyone want to buy my shirt?
Oh my god.
Anyways, sorry.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like you said, you can sell just about anything.
Yes.
But you know, there are, as I said, some renewable resources. Another really good one besides like the fruit trees and stuff is pumpkins, which they introduced for Halloween last year. But I think you can still buy them from Leaf if he comes to your island, but you can get them from other people who have them. But you plant a pumpkin and it grows a pumpkin. Or, well, actually, if you water it, it grows 3 pumpkins. And then you can pick those and replant those, or you can sell them. But if you have like a whole field of pumpkins and you're picking them and selling them every week, like you're going to make a good amount of money that way. You can also breed and cultivate rare flowers like the golden roses or the blue roses are very hard to find. I think those are the most rare ones, the blue roses and the green mums. And you can either sell them, like pick them and sell them and they grow back, or you can craft like flower crowns and stuff with them, and those are worth even more money.
Gotcha.
What I usually see suggested from people is the deep sea diving. You get your wetsuit on, you get out there, catch a whole pocket full of sea creatures, and
Hmm.
those are worth like the most, like per pocket full of stuff, basically. And then I always save all of my bugs and all of my fish that I catch for Flick and
Hmm.
CJ when they come to my island. I don't know if you've had them come around yet.
Uh,
Flick is
I
very horny for bugs. You would definitely remember him.
I I probably remember that. Yeah.
he's he's awesome.
Okay. Yeah. I
Um,
don't think I've ran into them yet.
but the
So.
way that I make my bells mostly is turnips. So
Okay.
the stalk market is what they call it. So every Sunday before noon, and I work on Sundays, so I have to get up early and
Hmm.
go buy my turnips before I go to work.
Sure.
So I usually just buy a pocket full. It's usually between like, I don't know, it's probably like $325,000 or something like that, bells. Um,
I got a pocket full of turnips.
so I get 40, let me see, 40 size. So it's like 4,000 turnips, and they come in stacks of 100. And then you have to store them somewhere. You can't put them in your storage. You have to like drop them somewhere. So a lot of people put them somewhere in their house, or I made like a
Hmm.
little turnip field that I put them in that's surrounded by a fence so nobody can steal my turnips if I let them over. But they're only good for a week and then they rot. So you
Hmm.
have 1 week to get rid of them. You can check at Nook's Cranny every day, twice a day. The price that they offer you changes after noon, so you can check twice a day. And like on average, it's not going to be great, but every once in a while you get a good price. And a lot of people, when they get the good price, they post about it on like a Facebook group. There's a bunch of different like turnip exchange Facebook groups. There's like different Reddit subreddits for it. There's an app. I think it's just called let's see. There's an
Oh my
app
God. There's
called
an app
there's
for it.
so many apps. It's just called ACNH Exchange. And you can like see what lines are open and like get in line to go to somebody's island to sell your turnips. So basically like I just wait till I have like a spare hour and I sit down and I get all my turnips in my pocket and I go to the airport and I start scrolling through Facebook and Reddit and the Turnip Exchange app, and I wait till I find somebody who has like something between like 400 to 600 bells a turnip, and I get on the plane and I go to their island and I sell my turnips and I go home and then I have like 2.5 million bells.
Well, that's a lot.
So it's like worth the time. So like, you do that a couple of times and then you don't have to do it for a long time.
Right.
And I did it a few times this past month because I was building a second house on my island and I forgot just how much it costs to build an entire fully upgraded house. It is
Hmm.
so much. That last loan is like 2.5 million bells.
Yeah. When you told me that this morning, I was like,
Oh my
"What?"
gosh. It's
Like,
crazy. That's for the
yeah.
basement. But then after that, you can like change the exterior of your house for free as much as you want. So,
That's cool. That's what I'm excited for, is changing the
yeah.
exterior, because when I saw that other people had like different
Yeah.
exteriors
There's a
and
lot of
you're
options too.
yeah, I was like, this is bullshit. Like I'm done with the cottage style.
I
Like I
think
want
you
it.
can do it at some point before that, but I think it's like 30,000 bells or something to do it before that.
That's not too bad.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
that's the best way to make like a shit ton of money at once.
cool. Yeah, I definitely need to get into the turn up stuff. Like I said, I haven't really gotten a chance to
Yeah.
really branch out into that. And that's going to be the theme of this episode, really, or the
And some
side
people do
theme.
think that it's a hassle.
Is,
Some people don't want to mess with it. I get it. I just
yeah.
say, buy a few turnips, start out small, see how it goes, see how it feels when you get that first that first pocket full of bells.
Yeah, it feels like it sounds like it sounds a lot like this Facebook group, not group, messenger group message that I'm a part of, where like every day people chime in like what stocks and what cryptos are
Yeah.
like up and stuff,
Yeah,
and
it's
like
it's
adult
a lot
stuff.
like that.
Yeah, and the way you described that, like, reminded me so much of
It's
this, and I was like,
definitely the
this
same vibes as me and my buddy texted each other about our Robinhood accounts this past few weeks.
right. Yeah, I've had so many people like yell at me for opening a Robinhood account. They're like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Don't fucking tell me how to live my life, bro. I'll
Me
open
and
whatever account I want."
Dogecoin are going to the moon.
Dude, I felt like such an adult when I bought Dogecoin, which is the most contradictory thing
It
ever.
is.
Like, it's the most
What
ridiculous
did you buy? Where
crypto.
were that when you bought them at?
Um, I think they were at like 0.003 or oh 03. Well, what is it right now? Is it 004
It's like right now.
or
I don't know. It's been fluctuating a lot, but it's been
yeah.
around like 5 or 6, like 0.06 or so.
Yeah, I got in at like either the high threes or the low fours, I want to
Yeah.
say. And I just bought like 10
I got
bucks
in at
worth.
like 2, but yeah, I bought like 10, 15 bucks. I don't remember now, but yeah.
Yeah, it was, I had that ringing in my head like, I know, I love how this has nothing to do with Animal Crossing.
It kind of
Ille-
does. Stock market.
sure, yeah. I mean, it's a ridiculous
Yeah.
meme crypto, so, whatever.
And when
But
you buy
like,
turnips, the turnips sometimes aren't a good price
yeah,
either. And there's
right.
even, you can also go and like buy turnips on other people's island for a better price. Because if they're
Hmm.
120 on your island, that sucks. You want to go somewhere
Right.
where they're 90.
Yeah, for sure.
Buy low,
Um,
sell high.
Yeah, and the only difference we're talking about here is that it's just a matter of real money
Right.
versus fake money. So as long as you're okay with like losing a little bit of real money,
Yeah.
go have some fun with a bit of crypto. But yeah. Um, so island visitors, we mentioned a
Yeah.
couple. Mentioned CJ and Flick.
Daisy May would also be one. You've got Sahara. She sells rugs.
I have not met her yet.
Oh, she's cool. She's a camel. She's a traveler. But she sells rugs and like flooring and wallpapers and stuff, but it's always like a mystery. You don't know what you're gonna get. It's
Hmm.
pretty cool. I try to buy, you get like exchange tickets from her too, and you can either save them up or you can exchange them that day. So like, I don't know. I don't buy as much anymore because I bought so much from her at the beginning, but I'll buy like one of each size rug and then I'll have enough exchange tickets to get like a free wallpaper or a free flooring. So that's kind of
Hmm.
fun. And there's like a lot of like, not necessarily economy, but a lot of people like to trade rugs and flooring and wallpaper and stuff. Um, Celeste, who hates me, Kix sells shoes. He
That
sells
makes
like
sense.
shoes and bags, but I don't see him very much. He's a skunk. But
Okay.
he the only thing I don't like about him, I wish that he had a store because he only has like 10 things with him. And
Hmm.
sometimes I don't want any of those things. But like I still want things. I just don't want
Right.
those things.
I don't want any of your crap.
And
Get
like
better crap.
around Halloween there were all these like special like bat wings and stuff, but like I saw so little of him that I didn't really get to collect like the weird spooky spider web tights and bat wings and stuff that I wanted.
Right.
LaBelle, she is the sister of Sable and Mabel who own the
Hmm.
clothing store, which I don't, do you have that yet or not yet?
I do.
Okay.
But who runs it? I feel like it's someone that I know that like so I mean someone that's not new.
Well,
Um
so Sable, I think it's Sable and Mabel. They they have a little stand in the square before they open the store. And then when they
okay.
open the store, Sable sits in the back and sews all day. And if you
Mhm.
try to talk to her, she's kind of mean to you and she doesn't want to talk to you. But if you talk to her every day for like 10 days in a row or something like that, she'll start giving you free like custom patterns and stuff that you can use when you customize things, which is
Hmm,
cool. And then she
that's neat.
becomes your friend and she gives you like their whole weird like porcupine backstory. Which is like surprisingly sad and weird. Like the weird porcupine origin story.
The origin
very
story
weird.
that no one asked for.
But Sable's my girl. I like her.
That seems very much like, I mean, I don't want to stereotype
Porcupines?
I was gonna say seamstresses or sewers or
What are you
people
trying to
that
say
sew.
about me?
But what I was just trying to say is like it. I mean, I'm a programmer, and when I'm in the zone, like I dare you to come fuck
Yeah.
with me or like try and talk to me because
Yeah.
it is like pulling teeth trying to get back into the
Right.
swing of things. So
I
I can
totally get
understand
that.
her grief
She'll be like,
with
"Excuse
people.
me, I'm a little busy right now," or she'll say like, "I can't talk to you," or she won't even say anything to you. She'll just like get her sister like, "Hey, there's a customer that needs help over here."
Oh my god,
But I love
that's
her.
hilarious.
She's like my favorite now.
That's awesome. You mentioned that weirdo Harv, which
So-
I had the pleasure of meeting the other
Did you
day.
go to Harv's Island?
I did not. I just
So-
talked to him.
Here's the thing about Harv's Island. When I went to his island, because if you go to the airport, that's one of the options. Go to Harv's Island. I
Mhm.
get there and like it's just him in a big empty house, and I was like, I am in danger. Like I was like, this is too sketchy for me. I don't like this. So
Stranger
I left
danger.
and I never went back. But I didn't realize like what Harv's Island was. Like he explains it, but like I don't know. For some reason, most people like the first time they go, they don't get it, and I definitely didn't get it.
Mhm.
But while you're there, and maybe it's because at the time I didn't understand the catalog yet, but while you're there, you can access anything that you have in your catalog, and you can like build whole rooms of like sets basically for photography.
Hmm.
And you can import all of your villagers, and then you can pose them. And people create like melodramas and like all kinds of hilarious stuff where people do like big villager photos with all their villagers for like Christmas cards, or like
Mhm.
somebody made like a medical drama where they posted like a different scene every day of like, you know, somebody's in the hospital and somebody poisoned them and they have to figure out who did it, and now they're in jail, and there was like a lineup and like just it was very funny. But I just never understood what it was for, so I've been meaning to go back there and try it out.
Okay.
It's just a cool way to get pictures of you with all your villagers doing fun stuff together, which you
That's
could
awesome.
not do on your island, really.
Right. That's awesome, and I'm glad you mentioned that because, when the game kind of first came out, and a few months later, uh, there's this band that I listen to called Dance Gavin Dance. I don't know if you've heard of them,
Yeah.
but I'm in a Facebook group that's just entertaining, is a good way to
Yeah.
put it. But these people love this band, and someone I'm guessing this is going through Harv's Island and
Yeah.
creating a studio to take pictures for. They recreated uh, a scene from, or the set from one of their music videos,
Yeah,
which
I'm
takes
sure it
place
was.
in a like a deli, or not,
That's
like a
cool.
bakery, with like the white and pink like striped walls, and like the bakery, like,
Nice.
you know, glass counters, and
Yeah,
where you
that's
can
awesome.
see all the items. I was like, this is like a shot for shot like
Well,
recreation
Did
of
you
the
see
music video.
somebody did like a whole Tiger King thing? Like it was
Oh
like
my god.
it was
Of
so
course they did.
detailed. He said it took forever to get all the items and everything that he needed to make it. Like it was
Right.
crazy. I'll have to look. I'll send it to you later.
Oh my god. I can't imagine.
But yeah, I haven't been back, but I want to go because now that I understand what it is and how it works, it seems really cool.
Yeah, this seems like I mean, if you've kind of done everything or you're looking for
Yeah.
something new, it seems like a good way to burn like several thousand
Yeah.
hours. If that's
And
what
again,
you're
like
looking
like
to
I
do.
said before, like some people like are set on different things, and some people spend all their time doing different things. So for some people, that's like how they play the game. Let's go to Harv's Island and do weird photo shoots. Like,
You want to come down to the basement for?
But when you get there, it's just him in a big empty house, and it has very weird like casting couch vibes, and like I was like, I am in
Oh
danger and I
no.
need to leave this place. And I feel like that's the vibe most people get when they first go there.
Yeah, I I get that. I totally get that.
Uh,
So other moving on to other things like island shops, the airport, your Nook phone, the
yeah.
automatic bill dispenser. Let's talk
Yes.
about those thingies.
So like Nook's Cranny, like we said, they follow you around, but every day there's like a different, in theory, there's a different selection of items that you can buy. And
Hmm.
if you open the case off to the side, you can get like tools and wallpapers and stuff. And there's usually like a seasonal thing that's going to be in the front. Some things you can only buy one of, some things you can buy multiples of. And that's another thing too, where like some items like books, you need 10 of those to make a bookshelf. So like if you have a book in your shop that day, some people might say like, hey, do you want to come to my island and buy books today? Because you can buy as many books as you want. When you when you order things from your catalog, you can only order 5 things a day.
Hmm.
So it makes it kind of hard if you're trying to do certain things like build a freaking bookshelf that you need 10 goddamn books for. So people will literally go to other people's islands just to buy 10 books or buy 20 books or whatever so that they can build bookshelves.
Wow.
Next Cranny's pretty straightforward. Able Sisters is awesome because of the dressing room feature. I do it every day. I go in there and I try on 100 different things. And even if I don't buy anything, it's just super fun. If you design clothes, you can hang clothes in somebody's shop or in your own shop.
Hmm.
And then your villagers will wear those clothes.
Oh, that's neat.
So some people make very funny shirts that say vulgar things just to see their villagers walk around wearing them. But it's
It's
funny.
it seems like that's the kind of thing that Nintendo like keeps an eye out for. Like
So if, well, I'll get into the
there's
dream
a
stuff later, but
yeah, there's a few things that came up that like while traveling to other someone
yeah.
or when I
Other
traveled to
people
your
can
island.
report your island to
Yeah.
Nintendo and you can get in trouble for certain things, but
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
yeah. Um so also available at Able Sisters is the portal, and the portal is one of my favorite things because you can access designs made by other people there. And you can like get clothes and stuff that people have designed. You can shop, you can either like look up a designer if you have their code, or you can just type in a word and see what other people have made. So like if I want like a sign for my cafe, I can type in cafe sign and see what comes up and pick something that I like if I don't want to design it myself.
Hmm.
But there's a thing that's called the path, which like it's just universally referred to as the path. And
Sounds like an HBO docuseries
it does.
on some cult. The path,
Definitely.
the voyage, the vow.
Definitely does. And like the path kind of has a cult following. So basically, the path is a minimum of 9 design squares, which kind of sucks because you only get so many design squares and then you just don't get any more. But you can lay that path down on the ground on your island using those 9 squares and like twist it and turn it all over the place. So if you go to somebody's island like mine and you see like the weird windy path that looks really organic on the ground, it's the path. And in
Mm.
theory, if you download these 9 squares, some of them have more than that. A lot of them have 11, but in theory, if you download those, they all follow the same, what's the word I'm looking for? Like there's a centerpiece, a left top, a left bottom, a left middle, right
Mm.
top, right middle, right bottom. So like they fit together in a certain way. And if you later want to change it, in theory, you should just be able to go back to the design portal and find a different path code and just like save it over top of the old one. And it should just change all of your stuff on your island automatically.
Mm.
So that's why it kind of has a cult following, because some people want to have maybe like a different style path in winter than in summer or spring or fall when like the colors are different on your island or whatever. Or maybe you just change the theme of your island or something. So, and I don't know how these people do this stuff. It is like, it just fits together so perfect and there's so much detail on some of them. And I've sat down with the design thing before and none of my stuff looks nearly as good as the stuff these people come up with. There's also a website. Thought I wrote it down here, but maybe I didn't. There's a website where you can like upload a picture and it like turns it into an Animal Crossing design code, and then you can like scan a QR code and like import it into your game, so you could have like a picture of your cat or something, and it's like a little pixelated, but like it does its best
Right.
to like create the picture for you. But that's pretty cool.
God bless those nerds.
I know, right? It just blows my mind, like the stuff people
Right.
come up with.
Those
It
are
really blows my
your
mind.
nerds
Yeah.
right there. That is taking it to a whole new level.
Like just the dimension and shadows and stuff that people can get on things. Like I just have no idea how they do it.
Right. Yeah.
With the pixels that are available.
Yeah. It's
man, what else? Let's see. Oh, so of course resident services. You know, you got your general stuff. You can talk to Tom Nook. You can talk to Isabel. You can use the ABD. There's also the recycling box.
mm-hmm.
And a cool trick for the recycling box is if you have like a bunch of DIYs and stuff laying around your island that you don't want to throw them away, but you don't want to keep them like on your island because it lowers your island rating. You can put them on a table. You can get like a table that holds 4 things, and then you use your Nook phone to call for a cleanup, and it takes everything off that table and it puts it in the recycling box. And I think you can hold like 40 things in there. So it's like kind of a weird nebulous place that you can hold things without throwing them away. Because anything you throw in a trash can is gone forever.
So I'm not familiar with I'm not familiar with any of that. But the only thing I'm familiar with is the recycling box. I didn't know about like the thing that you said about DIY cards. I mean, like obviously I know about the DIY cards. Like you gave some to me when I visited your island. I picked them up, but like I didn't know that there was something. They were something that you threw away.
So the problem is like after you learn so many, you start getting lots of repeats. So like if you go see your villager and they're crafting something, they'll give you a DIY for it. But like most of the time now, it's going to be one that I already know. So it's useless to me.
Gotcha.
And in theory, I do want to keep them to maybe if somebody says, oh, I need this DIY card, then I can give it to them. But if you have like 50 DIY cards sitting on your beach or wherever, because you can't put them in storage, like they bring your score down for your island. I guess we could talk about the ratings for the island too.
That's lame. Like just having DIY cards lying around. Like
I know, and that's the thing. Like they want you to like, I don't know. They give you like duplicates because they want you to like be social and like disperse them to other people. But like, it's just frustrating because I feel like you get the same ones over and over again at some point. Like once you've learned so many. But then in my head, I'm like, I know there's so many I don't have still. Like, can I get the ones that I want and stop giving me the freaking wooden block stool? Like, I'm so tired of this. Like,
right. Yeah, just go throw it in the garbage, dude.
Yeah. So like, yeah, eventually I just started throwing them in the trash can because I was so tired of looking at them. But then I figured out the recycling bin trick. Right now in your recycling bin, it's probably just like a few sticks and maybe like some rusted parts and some cardboard boxes.
Yeah, I just recently learned a DIY recipe for a transformer.
Oh
yeah,
it's a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of stuff.
You need like a rocket ship.
So I started collecting, and one of the first things I noticed were like the rusted pieces or whatever. And I was like, I've never came across those before. And just randomly, I hardly ever check the recycling box unless I'm like really,
you're really scrapping for stuff.
Yeah.
You're about to sell your clothes.
Right. And so I checked in there and there was like 3 in there. And I was like, hell yeah. Like, give me that
So
shit.
have you seen Gulliver or Gullivar? They are also island visitors. They pass out drunk on your beach. Well, maybe they're not drunk, but they're they're birds.
Oh shit. Yeah, I have. because I was trying to talk to one the other day, and he was like, "Leave me alone!" Like I
So,
was like, "Are you sleeping, dude?" Like I thought he maybe was the captain of the ship that's parked like
oh,
out
so
behind the
that's
island.
Red's ship. You get art from him. I forgot about him. You go to him to buy art.
Okay.
And he sells some art is real, some art is fake. Um,
Yes, I
it
remember.
also gets donated to the museum if you're nice. But I buy the fake stuff too because I like to hang it up in my house and stuff. Um,
Right.
but yeah, so there's two different ones. There's Gulliver and Gullivar. Gullivar is a pirate. But they fell off their ship, I assume, because they were blasted, and
Hmm.
they washed up on the shore of your island. And if you harass them enough times, they finally do wake up, and then they're like, "Oh, I need help finding the pieces of my communicator or whatever." Well, Gulliver needs help finding the pieces of his communicator. Do you know how to dig up manila clams yet?
I don't think
So
so.
on the beach, there's like those little sprays. There's like a
Hmm.
hole and like water sprays out of it.
Okay.
If you dig there, you're going to get manila clams, and you can use those to craft fish bait, which helps you catch more fish.
Oh my god.
Well, it helps attract fish, because there are some fish that you can only catch in certain places, like a pier or something like that. And if you throw the fish
Sure.
bait there, so that's a whole other thing. But if you dig in those spots after he asks you to find his pieces of his communicator, you'll find like these communicator pieces, and if you don't give them to him, the next day they'll be rusted communicator pieces, and you can use them to build your transformer. And then Gullivar, you have to go deep sea diving to find his phone or whatever so that he can go back to his ship. But I mean, he's going to go
Gotcha.
back anyway, whether you help him or not. But
Right.
but yeah, those guys are weird. But they give
Yeah.
you stuff that you can only get from them.
Sure. And yeah, and having a weird conversation
Yeah,
seems like it'd be worth it.
yeah,
Be like, all right, weirdo. It's kind of like talking to your drug
yeah.
dealer. You just you're like you're kind of friends, but only friends in a sense where like they give you drugs in exchange for money. So you're like, hey man, like, hold like a 10-15 minute conversation and you're like, all right, I'll see you in a couple months.
I also call my villagers weirdo all the time, and if you get to be good enough friends with them, they let you change their greetings and catchphrases. So for a long time, I had everybody calling me weirdo because I called them weirdo, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I for some reason I made my name in the game Dave and not David because like when people decide to call me Dave, like it makes me feel warm inside. Like and not that like I just wet my pants kind of warm, like cuz like my dad's name is David as well, but
Yeah.
when I was born and they decided to name me David, he started to go by Dave. And so I feel like Dave is kind of like a rite of passage.
Yeah, there you go.
So when someone calls me Dave instead of David, like I feel like it's this close
There
connection.
you go.
So I just decided to go by Dave for whatever
I
reason.
like it.
So it kind of like catches me off
Yeah.
guard when someone's like Dave, Dave, and I'm like, who the fuck are you talking to? Oh yeah, you're talking to me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I might change it
Oh my
later.
gosh.
Like when I can change it, I might
I
change it
don't
to scumbag
I don't
because
Well, yeah. Well, they'll still call you Dave. But like a lot of them have little nicknames for you too, like, and it's usually something to do with like their personality or like what kind of animal they are. Like if it's like
right.
I have
Hey, Chicky
Fauna.
Poo.
I have Fauna who's a deer and she calls me Deary.
Right.
Stuff like that. But you can change all that stuff later, and you can make better friends with your villagers by talking to them every day. I try to talk to all my villagers every day.
Hmm.
Um, and they like getting gifts. Some people don't like to gift their villagers like items from like Nook's Cranny and stuff like that because a lot of times people are really obsessed with like the aesthetic of the houses as they are. And you might not have like some like when you start out, I found out later when you start out, like the villagers don't have their real houses that they would have if you got them later. They have like starter houses. So they're
Hmm.
kind of growing with you and like building their own weird furniture and stuff. But later, like the villagers, some of them have like super cool houses. So people don't like to give them too much stuff because they start to like replace their cool stuff with like the weird shit that you give them.
Right.
So a really popular thing for people to give them is they'll go get fossils assessed, and if they already have donated them to the museum and the museum doesn't need them, instead of selling them, they wrap them in wrapping paper and give those to their villagers every day.
Mhm.
And so they're like kind of high value items, and it makes your people like you more. So as you get
Nice.
like higher friendship levels, you'll notice they'll start to interact more with you. They'll ask you to change their catchphrase or their greeting. They'll try to sell you shit. Like they'll run up to you and they'll be like, "Oh, I accidentally bought an extra jumpsuit. I forgot I already had one of these. Do you want to buy it for 5,000 bells?" And you're like, "Not really, but like I want you to like me, so sure." Um and they'll ask to buy things from you. Like it'll be weird stuff too. Sometimes I don't even want to give it to them. Like I'll have like a sea bass in my pocket or something. They're like, "Oh, I see you got a sea bass there. Can I give you 300 bells for that?" And I'm like, "I don't really want you to display this in your house, but maybe like I'll think about it. I don't know." And they totally will display it in their house. So sometimes I don't like to give them fish and stuff. One of them ran up to me this morning and asked if I could catch them a wharf roach. And I was like, "I really don't want to give
The
you a
hell?
roach. It's so on the rocks on your beach. Do you ever see those guys that are scampering around? Sometimes you can catch those with your net.
Okay. Yeah,
And that's a
I've
wharf roach.
okay, I found one scurrying out of a rock after I hit it with an
That's
axe.
a roly poly, probably.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I noticed it was pretty small.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only interaction like that I've had with one of my villagers is um I was just walking around at night randomly,
Yeah.
and like Lindsay was telling me, like, yeah, like you can knock on someone's a villager's house, but you know sometimes they won't answer. Like, you know,
Yeah, if their
since
light
you're
is
playing
on,
late,
they're
yeah,
home and they're up. But if their lights are off, they won't
yeah, and
answer.
I had never done this before, so I just tapped A and like I knocked and then just let myself in. And I was like,
Yeah.
"You dick! Like,
Well, I do
like
that
what the
every
hell do you
day.
think you're
I go
doing?"
to every house that's open every day.
Yeah, and like the chicken was like pacing around and it was like sniffling
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
like, "What the hell's going on?" And it was like, "Hey, Dave,
Did he
it's
sneeze
nice to
right in
see
your
you," but
mouth?
he gave me the Rona, a fucking
They have
chicken.
no concept of like, I don't know, like personal
Yeah,
boundaries.
but no, this chicken was sick, and I was like, "Oh, poor
Yeah.
chicken." So I like went into my medicine supply and
Yeah.
gave him some medicine, and he gave me a shirt in
Yeah.
exchange for the med or as a
Yeah, they'll
thank you.
always give you something back if you give them something, which is
Yeah.
cool. But if you give
Um.
them the medicine, it does raise your friendship level.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I was just happy to help. You know. I, I was like, I thought it was just one of those cool little things about the game where I was like, uh, I was like, oh, you know, I have some medicine. I
Yeah.
wonder
Let me
if I
help.
can like go grab it and come
Yeah.
back and so I like ran to my house. I was like, ah, get
Gotta
the medicine, get the
hurry.
medicine. Yeah, and then I ran back, and I was like, oh, she's still here, and I
Oh
was
my
like, take my
gosh.
medicine.
I love it.
And she was like, "Oh, thank you." And she miraculously
Perks
felt
right
better
up.
right
Yeah.
away. Yeah.
Does a little spin.
Yes. I was
Feeling better
like, wow.
already.
Yeah. I was like, oh, the medicine kicks in just like that. However, if I drop shit off at Nook's Cranny, it takes a day to get that
Right.
shit back. Of course it does.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
But
and so sort of the end game of making friends with your villagers is that once they've reached like peak friendship with you, they will give you a framed photo of them. And some
mhm.
people are so obsessed with these photos that that's like what they spend most of their time in the game doing, is like trying to like get to that level of friendship and collect the photo. And some people have like whole rooms in their houses that are just full of these photos. I only have 3 of
Right.
them.
Because that's not weird or
It's very
anything.
weird. But some people, like, that's like part of their game. They want to collect the photo of every single villager, which there's so many, but like, I don't know.
Mhm.
Some people just like, that's like their mentality. Like, gotta collect everything, gotta do every last little thing, check off every box.
Right.
I can't imagine how
That's
long that would take.
Yeah, that's just the completionists
Yeah.
that are playing the game.
And like some people, so have you, like, how many houses do you have on your island right now, like for villager houses?
So there's the two originals. There's I guess you don't want to count Lindsay.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, unless she.
Just like your animal villagers.
Oh yeah, that's so the two originals plus the three new ones,
Okay.
so five.
So you'll have 10 eventually.
Okay.
And when you get the new plots built for them, you can either let them autofill or you can take a Nook Miles ticket. Once the plot is built and it says for sale, just that day you can take a Nook Miles ticket, you can go to the airport, and you can say, I want to use my Nook Miles ticket. And it'll take you to an island. And on that island, there will be an animal of some sort, and you can invite them to come live on your island, or you can not. But some people are like obsessed with like the hunt of like the certain specific villagers that they want, and they refer to them as their dreamies. That's like the general term for it on the boards is the dreamies. And some people have like a list of dreamies, but they're willing to accept like some other ones, or maybe if somebody's really cute. But some people will go to as many islands as it takes to get like a specific villager. So that's like, you have to stand at that stupid ATM and cash in all those Nook Miles to get all those tickets. And some people will spend all day going to like 100 of these Nook Miles ticket islands. And I go, but I would not go to 100 islands. I think the most I've ever done is like maybe like 14 or something like that, which felt kind of crazy even then. But
I'm sure that was like what an all day thing.
It was a few hours.
Yeah.
But also when you go to these other islands, if you go when there's not a plot open, there's no villager there, but you can like strip the island of its natural resources. You can go there and cut down the trees, you can collect the fruit, you can collect the weeds, you can collect the sticks and the whatever, chop all the wood and everything. And
right.
it's kind of a cool way to like get stuff. Like my island is set. Like I'm not trying to chop down any of my trees, but sometimes I still need some wood. So I go to another island and it's just a deserted island and I just chop all the trees down and then I'm good for a while.
Right.
But yeah, some people will go to like a million islands to find these specific villagers that are very popular. Raymond is one of them. He's a cat. I guess he's like, I don't know. He's like a nerdy cat. Some people say he's very overrated, but I guess he doesn't have an amiibo card. And if you don't have one of those, that makes it like harder to get. So that's like a reason that people want him more. But you can buy amiibo cards and you can tap them on your Switch joystick and it loads them into your campsite. So that's another way to get a villager. And that's a way to get rid of villagers too. If you invite somebody to your campsite with an amiibo card 3 days in a row, you can invite them to live on your island. And they'll ask you, oh, there's no plot open. Who do you think anybody's thinking about moving? And then you can say the name of the villager that you don't like, that you want to get rid of. And then they'll kick them out and they'll replace them. So that's a way to get rid of a villager.
Sounds so mean.
Yeah, sometimes you just really don't like a villager. Some of them are very weird looking or like mean looking, or there's like different personalities. I really don't care for the jock villagers or the cranky villagers. So I had a couple that I kind of booted that way.
Okay. Yeah, there are some funny looking ones.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten really any villager that I'm like, I can't wait to get rid of you. But I have seen a couple that I'm just like,
look so angry. They just look so angry. They have like angry eyebrows and like mean eyes. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
when you mentioned the eyebrows the other day when we were talking, it just reminded me of that scene from Anger Management where he's like, "Hello, Mr. Eyebrows." Yeah.
But yeah, when I went to 14 Islands to try to find somebody the other day, it was like I would get off the plane and I would see them from a distance and they would just have angry eyebrows or like bright red eyes or like
not you.
They would just be like some kind of bright blue and yellow weirdo. And I'm like, this does not fit my island aesthetic. My aesthetic is cute and this is not going to work for me.
Not today, Satan.
I'm like, I just need somebody cute, please. Right. I would take theirs. I don't know what their name is, but there's a bird that has like, it's a phoenix and her house is like hell. Like it's just like fire and lava. And I would like her. I would take her even though she sounds scary. But yeah, some
Yeah.
of their houses are also really cool, and like their exteriors have like different things. Like some of them are like log cabins or like Asian houses. So some people cultivate for the
Hmm.
aesthetic of their island based on their houses.
Okay.
Let's see.
Um, yeah. How about some island ratings?
Oh yeah.
I really don't know too much about ratings, so I think that's a
So
good
the
thing
only
to
ones
talk.
that really matter are when you get to 3 stars and when you get to 5 stars. 5 stars the highest. Once you get to 3 stars, KK Slider, who is like, superstar
Y-
musician,
yeah, I think
and all of his
like
songs are
Tom
like
Nook.
wee wah ah wah ah wee. That's what all the music
Yeah,
sounds like.
Tom Nook talked about him the other day for
Yeah.
the first time, and I thought he was gonna cream his shorts.
They're
Like
all
he was like,
fucking
dude.
obsessed with him.
Yeah, he was like, "You haven't heard of Tom Nook?" And now, like, I told him no. Like, I have heard of Tom Nook, but
KK
I told
Slider.
him no. Or yeah, I was like, I have heard of him,
Oh
but
my
I'm gonna
god.
tell you no
Right.
to see what happens. And he was like, I thought
Oh,
his head was gonna
yeah.
explode.
So they're all obsessed with KK Slider, superstar. So once you get to 3 stars, KK Slider slides into town and he
Mm-hmm.
sets up on your island to do a concert every Saturday. Because evidently this superstar has nothing better to do than hang out with your 10 villagers every Saturday morning.
Right.
But once you unlock that, you unlock terraforming. Oh, also after his first concert, it rolls the credits and everybody's like, "Is the game over? Did I win the game? Like what?" But it's really like just starting.
Right.
So to me, honestly, like that was like the beginning. But yeah,
Yeah.
so you unlock terraforming, and that's when you can start like moving your water. You can fill in your rivers or make new rivers. You can tear down your cliffs and make new cliffs. You can like build up the mountains. You can kind of do whatever you want to do with your island, where like I said, you can lay down the path, or you can like put designs on the ground, or like pretty much just design the island. um and when you get to 5 stars, I, I wish like something a little more exciting did happen, but a lot of times, so there's a special flower called the lily of the valley, and it only grows on 5 star islands. And a lot of people don't know that their island is 5 stars if they don't go ask every day, but then they see that flower and they
Mm-hmm.
go run to resident services and they ask Isabel about their rating. And she's like, "Oh, yeah, you're a 5 star island." And then she gives you the golden watering can. The gold watering can is very cool because gold tools don't break nearly as much as the other tools do. It lasts a really long time. I think you get the DIY for it so you can make new ones when it does break. But like, right now your tools are probably kind of crappy and they break and you have to buy new ones all the time. So once you start to
Right.
get the gold tools, they don't break nearly as much, which is nice. But
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of all that really happens once you get to 5 stars. It would be nice if it was something a little bit more exciting than that, but I don't know. The gold
Yeah.
watering can also, if you have black roses and you water them with the gold watering can, it makes gold roses, which is nice.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah. And those are like valuable items. Um but yeah, it's just like that's kind of when you really get into like the design of the island itself. And we could talk about like the different styles. Like a lot of people want to have like a theme or a style.
Sure.
And one of the most popular island styles is cottagecore, where
Of
like
course it is.
yeah. Everything is just very like cozy, and there's like baskets and apples everywhere and like
Right.
wood furniture and like brick pathways. The one that I'm really impressed with always is like the more urban style. They call it city core. Where like somehow they can take this island and just make it look so industrial and so urban, and like all of the streets are like paved streets and walkways and everything looks concrete, and there's like metal and concrete
Hmm.
everywhere, and like it's just endless creativity, like I said before. I also
That's really
really,
cool.
yeah, I really like the tropical style islands and like the forest style islands too, but I have been to a lot of islands, and it's just really cool to see what other people do and how
Ours is
different islands can be.
Right. Ours is very eclectic right now.
Yeah.
Like it's
I feel like
snowing, but
everybody's
we
is
have
very
like palm
eclectic.
trees. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is going on? So
At the
like
beginning, you don't really have a choice but to be eclectic because you're kind of at the mercy of like what falls out of the sky or out of the trees or whatever.
yeah, quite literally. Um so I'm assuming that regardless of what climate you're in, like whether you're enjoying like 70-degree weather in Florida or
Right.
like us,
It's
like
snowing.
10-degree weather
Yes.
in Tennessee, it's snowing in the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody's kind of tired of the snow. I know some people aren't tired of the snow. It's also like a highly controversial thing to discuss on the boards and stuff because some people like are tired of people complaining about it and some people are just so freaking tired of the snow. But it
Right.
ends soon. I believe on the 25th the snow goes
Uh,
away.
of this month.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
That's what
So
I've seen. That's the word on the street.
yeah, that was something that I was kind of curious about, and I just thought of like since the game just it came out just last year, I guess this will be the first time that everyone experiences collectively the snow either melting or going away. I don't know what they
Yeah,
have
I don't
planned for
know.
that as far as like a transition, if it's going to like
Because when it
actually melt.
transitioned into snow from fall, like it happened kind of slowly. Like the trees, it was interesting. Like even the transition from like summer to fall, where like the
Hmm.
trees very slowly started to change and the grass slowly started to change over, probably
Hmm.
over the course of like a week. I'm trying to remember how the snow transitioned. I don't know. I feel like it kind of like started out like it maybe it was like a week long transition. I don't totally
Right.
remember, but yeah.
Yeah, when I first like talking to people, first started talking to people about the game, when it first came out, that was one of the things that intrigued me the most was like the
Yeah.
real time aspect of it, like the and I guess just the time and the weather
Yeah.
mainly. It's just I don't know. I just
I
thought it
do
was
wish there was a
very
little bit more
fascinating.
variation
Sure.
in the winter because I feel like the other seasons like it rained and stuff sometimes. I mean, I know it snows and stuff sometimes, but like I feel like it's hard to do like terraforming and stuff when everything's so monochromatic. It's hard to see like where some things begin and end and stuff.
Hmm.
And I'm just sick of snow in real life too right now. So I'm just tired of
Yeah.
everything being like blindingly white.
Right. Yeah, I was like walking my dog the other day or this morning actually, and this is in real life, not in the game. But you know my dog Harvey, he's like all white. He's like
Yeah.
he looks like a white wolf. But we were outside and like my neighbor pointed out, he's like, "Is Harvey always like kind of a shade of yellow?" And I was like, I think it's just the contrast to the
Yeah.
snow.
The snow is
Like,
so white. It's
yeah,
like
it's like
blinding.
right. It's like we like to have a lot of fun on and off the track, but today we're here to talk about something serious: snow blindness and cats, and it scares the shit out of us.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyways,
But yeah.
here's a peek inside an ADHD brain.
Oh my gosh.
Let me
Let's
cover
see.
like 3,000 different topics in the span of a minute.
But yeah, people are just super creative. I also really like people take items and they make like faux facades or like create what looks at least most of the time from a distance, maybe not as much up close, but like people like build castles and build like just crazy like I have on my island it looks like a boat, but it's just like a bunch of couches in the middle of
Yeah.
the water kind of with like
Right.
some simple panels and like a stand in the middle of it with like a utility pole and a cooler, but it looks like a boat when it's all put together, especially from a distance. But people come up with all kinds of stuff for that. I've seen, like I said, castles and like people build stuff up in front of their houses to make it look just like super impressive.
Hmm.
They'll put silos on each side and then like stick like phone booths in front of them or something. It's just crazy. And then one
Yeah,
of
that's pretty nuts.
yeah, one of the like hard mode things that people like to do is create rock gardens. So if you eat fruit before you hit your rocks, the rock goes away. and you like
Hmm.
smash it and it's gone, but it will respawn somewhere else later. People people like to make rock gardens where all their rocks are like in the same little space together, because it looks cool, and sometimes they make them functional where they can go through and hit all the rocks every day. But to do this, you have to make it so that those are the only spots that those rocks can spawn after you break them.
Hmm.
And so they have to cover their entire island in something. And some people do like a path code, or they do like if you have like a clothing design that's in your like design inventory, you can like place that design as a mannequin. And some people will cover their island in mannequins and wait for those rocks to spawn in those spots. So basically, you have to cover your whole island in something, and everywhere except for those spaces, and wait for those rocks to spawn in those spaces. And it's not an exact science, and people have a lot of trouble with it, but like it's such an accomplishment, and it's like so impressive if you have a rock garden on your island.
What the fuck? Like,
I don't know, people like are masochists, and they like want to do like the hardest thing they can possibly do.
Jesus. Like, okay, yeah. I don't have the time or dedication to
Yeah,
that. Like, I just can't.
I've done a
Like,
lot of like crazy things that I will say the craziest thing that I've done on my island. So like, you know, once you get to a certain point, you're like, man, I wish I would have done everything differently, because now all these houses are just in crazy places and it doesn't make any sense and there's no real layout here. Some people want to restart the game, start completely over with the knowledge that they now have, and
mhm.
like place things where they want them. But the only downside of that is you lose everything that you've worked so hard for. So there's another option, which is what I opted for, where you, I think it costs 50,000 bells for each building. You take every building, you move them all to the beach, and then you flatten your entire island. You take everything away, all the rivers, all the cliffs, all the flowers I moved to the beach, all the everything, just a big blank slate. And you start over from scratch. And you're rebuilding all the cliffs. You have to move all the flowers. I went through, I think, probably 8 gold shovels, which last a long time while I was like moving all the flowers back and forth. So you're literally starting from nothing, and you're creating your own rivers and you're creating your own mountains or whatever. Like it's insane, but
Wow.
it was so much work. And at some point I was really discouraged because I was like, wow, now that it's all flat and blank, I don't know where to start with this. So
Right.
I would just go on like Pinterest and stuff, and I would look at other islands, and I would try to like just work on one section at a time. And I'm like, okay, I know I want to have a neighborhood where all my houses are lined up together somewhere, and I want to have, you know, a section where my shops are or whatever. But it was definitely like the hardest thing that I've done, and it was a little bit crazy.
Right.
Um, but my ultimate goal, which I finally did as of yesterday, I wanted to create a dream code for my island, because dreaming is one of my favorite things to do in Animal Crossing. And a lot of people, like Harv's Island, don't know a lot about dreaming. Basically, you can take a snapshot of your island as it is at that moment. I think pretty much everything except for, I think I had Gulliver on my island and he didn't show up in my dream. But pretty much everything stays as it is in that snapshot, and it uploads it to the cloud. And somebody can go lay in their bed, and it asks you if you want to sleep, and you say yes. And then it takes you to Luna, who's my girl, and
Hmm.
you can either have her take you to a random dream, or you can type in a dream code, and it takes you to that person's island in a dream. So
Hmm.
nothing that you do means anything there. Like you can, if people leave tools for you, you can chop down all their trees and nothing happens in real life. It's just a dream. You can
Right.
talk to their villagers, you can go fishing, you can go look in all their buildings, you can do whatever you want, and it doesn't affect anything, which is, I think it's really cool, because the other person doesn't have to be online. You
Hmm.
can go dream wherever, whatever. There's one that I really like to go to. It's like a Grecian island. And just like the design of the island is so beautiful. I have no idea how they did all this, but they have like restaurants and shops, and they have like a convenience store and the bookstore, and they leave you like fishing poles that you can fish, and they have, I don't know, just all this stuff. It's like going on vacation, honestly. And it's somebody I don't know. It's just some random person on the internet. I just get to go to their island and run around, and they leave you like fireworks that you can set off and like
Mhm.
balloons you can run around with. It's just super
That's neat.
fun. I love dreaming. Sometimes I like save every dream code that I see if somebody posts their dream code. And sometimes I'll just sit down and that's all I do that day. I'll just go to different dream islands.
Huh,
Um, but I finally made my dream code yesterday, so I'm very excited about it to have people come
that's
look at my
cool.
island.
So are you notified when people come and visit
I
your
don't
island?
think
Like,
so.
okay.
I don't know because I've only given it to like 2 people and I don't think they've gone to it yet. But I don't think you are. That would be kind of cool though. But like that's another thing. Like places like Crocker Rail has an island. Joe Biden had an island. And they're really cool. I went to an IKEA island last night and I was like, wow, this is just like going to IKEA. Like it just blows my mind. Like that's somebody's job, you know? Like
Right.
like so many companies have islands on Animal Crossing and that's just like somebody's job to like make that island.
Yeah, like
And like the Joe Biden island, they had like their portal and you can like download like a shirt to wear while you're there and like you can't take anything with you from a dream. But
mhm.
like I always love when there's something interactive there to do while you're there. Oh god. There's one, this guy makes mazes that are fucking impossible. And I spent 2 hours in one day. And I got so mad I threw my Switch and I thought Mac was gonna like he was like losing it. He's like, you have to stop. Like just quit. And I was like, I can't quit. It's been 2 hours. Like I was so mad.
I can't quit you, Annis.
And I could see the exit. I could see it, but I couldn't figure out how to get to it. And I was right next to it. And I probably spent 45 minutes of that 2 hours right at the end just trying to get out. And I couldn't get out. And then when I finally figured it out, it was like an optical illusion where it looked like I couldn't go a certain way, but I could.
Uh,
And I had been right next to it for 45 minutes. And I was so mad. But
oh
like,
man.
it was an experience.
Yeah.
And people just make these things for other people and like they don't have to be online. As many people as you want can be there without having to interact or anything. You don't ever see the other people, so like it's just crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, that's nuts.
But yeah,
Yeah,
dreaming's one of my favorite things.
this game has so many layers. Like it just blows my mind. Like every time I talk
Yeah.
to you, I learn something new, and I'm just like, oh my god! Like I
And
can't
this is
keep
like
up with
my
all
like
this
pared down
knowledge.
list.
Right?
I
Yeah.
edited so much to try to keep it like
Yeah.
condensed.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for like
Yeah.
almost an hour and 45 minutes, and we've like basically just scratched the
Yeah.
surface, which is kind of sad and intimidating, but also fun
But
and
like it's a
exciting.
really like at your own pace thing. Like that is what I like about it. It is
Right.
easier if you can play every day for an hour or so. It'll definitely
Hmm.
like get you a lot further, a lot faster. But I mean that's probably any game.
Yeah, it is cool that it's a game meant to last you a while.
Yeah.
It's nice to have those games that you don't just get in there and run and gun and
Yeah.
you're over and done with in like less than a week.
Right.
So it's cool that it's a game like that lasts you a little bit. Um, well, like we said, we covered quite a bit. Is there any other closing thoughts or
I
anything that we haven't mentioned yet?
did
That
see some stuff today about the March update.
oh yeah, yeah,
So there's gonna be I don't know entirely like what all is gonna be included, but there's been a lot of talk about integration of Mario characters and Hello
really?
Kitty characters. And I
Okay.
didn't really understand what that meant. But I saw today, I don't know where people find this stuff, but I saw today these pictures of Mario items. And I don't know if I could find the post again now. It might even have been deleted because sometimes people don't like having that stuff posted because it's spoilers or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's like gonna be like Mario blocks and like Mario coins and Mario pipes and stuff that you can put around your island. So we'll see what
That's
comes to
fun.
fruition on that. But I think that that's gonna be pretty cool, and I think that that's gonna be fun for people who obviously are into that game. Well, all of those games.
All right.
But I'm
Yeah,
interested to
that's
see
awesome.
like what all integration goes into that.
Yeah, for sure.
The only other thing I don't think I talked about was time traveling, which is another kind of controversial thing. But you
Oh
can
yeah.
reset the time on your Switch itself. Some people never do it. Some people don't want to do it. Some people think it's cheating. I don't do it very often. Some people are just sick of the snow and they just want to be in spring, so they time travel forward to spring or back to last year.
Hmm.
Um, but I time travel sometimes because, like I said, like if I'm trying to order stuff from my catalog, I can only order 5 things at a time. And if I'm trying to build a restaurant or something, I need more than that. So I'll order stuff, I'll time travel to the next day, I'll collect my things, I'll go back to the day before, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Or if I'm trying to get a villager moved in or moved out, I might time travel forward or backward to like get that process sped up. Um, if you buy turnips, though, you can only time travel. I don't want to get this wrong. You can only time travel backwards, forwards. You can only time travel forwards with them. If you time travel
Okay.
backwards even 1 minute, all your turnips rot and you lose all of them.
Oh boy.
So like it's kind of confusing. But yeah, like it
Such
happens
as
to
time
people
travel.
all the time. And it gets kind of confusing sometimes though, because sometimes you have to do things like sequentially, like day after day after day, if you're trying to move a villager in or out. And sometimes I'll forget what day it actually is. And like 3 days later, I'll like be like, why is KK Slider on my island? It's not Saturday. And then I look down and I'm like, oh, it's Saturday in the game. Like, when did I must have forgot to time travel back to the right day. So time traveling can
Yeah.
be confusing. If you time travel too far forward into the future, your villagers might be like a little moody about it. They might be unhappy, and also your house gets roaches,
Oh,
and your island
yikes.
can get covered in weeds. And I also notice, even if I'm just going back and forth a day or two, my villagers get super needy, and they're always running up to me and needing something from me if I'm time
Wow.
traveling back and forth. But some people time travel forward to like special events and stuff. Some of it's time locked stuff and some of it's not. But some of it's kind of seen as shady because people go forward and collect the items that come out on that day or whatever. And then they'll bring them back to
Right.
the present and like sell them to people. Which, like, I don't know, if people want to buy them, whatever. That's their
Hmm.
prerogative, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't mind a
Um.
little late time traveling.
Right. Just a dab here and there. Um. Well, yeah. We've touched on quite a bit. Let's move on to our closing segment,
Let's do
which
it.
is shit that doesn't suck, and we'll put a pretty little bow on this
All
sucker.
right.
What do you say?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Do you have something lined up for us?
I'm gonna say my shit that doesn't suck is the I Hope You Suffer podcast.
Yeah.
I was just on that podcast. We did a
Hmm.
sweet little episode about a movie called Battle Heater. It is a Japanese comedy horror, not really horror, Japanese comedy monster movie about an evil kotatsu, which is a table with a heater in it. Um, that eats people. It also has teeth, by the way. That's the
Oh,
weird
of
part.
course.
But it was really fun. We had a good time. Most of the episode is just me laughing too far away from the microphone. And yeah, it's just
As you do.
it's a fun podcast. It's about
Yeah. Tell our listeners what the
it's called
podcast
I
is
Hope You
about.
Suffer because they watched really shitty horror movies and suffer through them so that you don't have to. And
Hmm.
sometimes to make themselves feel better, they watch good movies too. But it's one of my oldest friends in the world. We used to live together. We went to prom together.
Okay.
And two of his friends. And it's super fun. And yeah.
That's
You guys
cool.
should listen to that too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
We shouted out this podcast when we were on that podcast. So
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are definitely making the rounds on your podcast.
I'm
Mac
like a
was on just a couple weeks
celebrity.
ago, and right, yeah, just no problem.
No big deal.
Dust that shirt off your shirt off your shoulder. That dirt. God,
You're thinking about selling your
it's
clothes to Tom Nook again, aren't you?
yes. That's all that's on my brain now. It's just selling my clothes. um, yeah. Anyway, so my shit that doesn't suck is appropriately named Schitt's Creek. So uh
It's the
yeah,
best.
I finally got tired of everyone telling me how great of a show it was, and I just had to check it out for myself, and I'm glad it lived up to the hype.
I was
Like
about to say, were
that
you like worried that it wouldn't live up to it?
I I'm never worried. I just assume that it won't.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because when something is hyped up like that, like the same thing happened with Avatar. Like everyone was telling me, like Avatar's the best movie of all time. Oh, your brain's gonna explode! And I went to go see it, and I was like visually, it's
Yeah,
cool, but like I was like,
it's Fern
I
Gully.
feel like, yeah, I was like, I feel like I've seen this movie before,
Yeah.
and then like the next day I was like, oh yeah, this is Fern
Yeah.
Gully and Dances with Wolves and like 15 other
Yeah.
fucking movies. But anyways, like yeah, Schitt's Creek, it's so funny and it's like so wholesome, like with the occasional like fuck thrown in, like a fine spice.
Yeah.
Like it's just randomly
It's
thrown
very
in.
natural.
Like yeah, like you get so acclimated to like this relatively like clean humor, and I think even you were saying earlier today, like everyone is like, even when they're being mean,
Yeah.
quote unquote, they're still being like pretty nice to each
Yeah,
other.
it's never truly mean in
Right.
spirit.
Yeah, and so when like the occasional like f-bomb shows up, I'm like, oh yeah. Like it's just another added comedic element.
Who's
to
your
the
favorite
show.
character?
uh
You're still a little early in, but
yeah, I told you this earlier, but I'll tell our listeners as well. I'm on season 3, early in season 3. I want to say episode 3 or 4.
so the best is yet to come.
Yeah, you are definitely not the only person that's told me that it gets better over time,
Yeah.
but not in like a bad way. Like it starts out shitty. Like
Right,
a lot
right.
of people use that phraseology to describe shows that start out really bad,
Right.
but you have to like hang in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, I'm really liking it. To answer your question, I'd say it's a tie between David and his dad.
Yeah.
What's Eugene Levy's character's name?
Man, it's one of those things where when you're trying to think of it.
Right, yeah, but like
wow, what is his name?
Serious, like the crafter in me seriously wants to make just an ew David shirt.
Yes.
Like ew David.
Why? Well, I don't know if you've seen the lightning bolt shirt yet, but I made one of those.
Right. Yeah. So
His
I haven't
clothes
seen
are all
yours.
perfect.
Yeah. When he came in to work at that clothing store for that one, like her character was so fucking funny.
So
but when he comes in and like he just redesigns everything in the store, like whole new clothes, and like everything is black.
It looks insane.
Right. And he's like, I don't understand why we have to sell the shop. We sold another leather poncho.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's so funny. But like
favorite.
all the characters are so good. I laughed my ass off when his sister, whatever her name is,
Alexis.
She starts sleeping with the dude with the beard.
Yeah.
And he shaves his beard. Yeah, Mutt. Yeah, and he shaves his beard and then he gets back into bed. And she's like, I have to leave you now. It was so good.
Oh my god.
But like a part of me was like, yeah, you should have kept the beard, dude. Like you look better with it. But yeah, anyways, no,
It's great.
it's just, yeah, it's a super fun show. It's my new favorite, and I've had to find a lot of new favorites ever since
Yeah.
the beginning of the year and The Office officially got booted off Netflix.
I
And I
never
refuse
watched
to.
it. I know that that's like
It's all good,
crazy.
you
I don't
know.
know. I watched a little bit of it. It gives me anxiety. I don't know what it is. It's just too awkward for me, maybe. I don't know.
It's one of those shows you have to power through.
Hang in there.
Yeah, you have to hang in there. It really is that, like, the first 2 seasons of that show are pretty dissimilar than the
Interesting.
preceding like 7
Yeah.
seasons. They're just like, they in the beginning they really tried to stay true to that really dry, sarcastic British humor.
Yeah.
Um, and plus the whole low budget of the show made it like played into the whole awkwardness of
Yeah.
everything. um but then, they got a bigger budget as seasons went on, so they were able to develop the characters a
Maybe I'll
little
give
bit
it a try
better. And
someday. But
yeah, luckily the first 2 seasons are relatively short. Like, the first season's only 6 episodes, and you could probably even like just read the Wikipedia cliff notes
fair.
for like the first season, because the first season is pretty cringy. Like, I love it now because
Yeah.
I've just watched it so many times. Like, I you know I still watch it, and there's still plenty of
That's Star
fun
Trek
moments.
Deep
But
Space Nine for me. The first
yeah,
3 seasons aren't great, but I've seen them so many times that like it's fine. I just watch
yeah,
it.
I remember you being like, guilty as charged on our Star
Yeah.
Trek episode last year, where you're like,
I'm a
I know it's not great,
completist.
but
It's
yeah,
a part. It's an integral part of the story.
yeah, exactly. All right. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much
Yeah,
for coming
definitely.
on the podcast again.
Thanks for
I
having
greatly
me.
appreciate. Yeah. Hopefully we can do this again sometime soon. We'll find another topic that you're
Cool.
well suited for and that you can best me at once again. Um, and listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you made it this far, congratulations. And I'm sorry. No, just kidding. But yeah, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast already, go ahead and do so on your favorite podcast application, or app for short, as the cool kids are saying nowadays. Leave us a rating and review where applicable. That's basically Stitcher or Apple Podcasts. There's not a whole lot of apps out there, unfortunately, that allow you to leave ratings and reviews. That's stupid. They should fix it. But yeah, that's gonna do it for us. And be kind, stay geeky, and eat lots of cheesecake. Bye.
Bye.
There you go. Haha.